Hello, my name is Leslie Edwin. I am the president of Cushing Support and Research Foundation. I've been in this role since 2018, but I was a volunteer for a few years before that. I got involved after having a first conversation with our founder, Louise Pace, back in 2013. I have a great medical team. They got the biochemical stuff right, but there's just a lot I was still suffering with and trying to suffer silently. I was miserable, I was depressed, I was in pain, just confused. And just in that first short call, it wasn't a short call, but in that one call, she validated everything. She told me her story. She told me the stories of others. She told me what they had been doing, like how they had grown from just a couple of patients and, a phone number list to what they are today or what we are today, which is several thousand members, several more thousand followers on social media. I just felt at home. It felt like the right spot, and I've always had a civic volunteer state of mind, so I really wanted to throw all in on CSRF. So, like these days, some of the projects that we have for Cushing's Awareness Day, which is on April 8th, it's coming up in a couple of days. Our Patient Advisory Committee has created a 3-part project for any members who want to participate. It's kind of like social media awareness and fundraiser. We just finished a large international conference that we co-hosted with Adrenal Insufficiency United, which is another group, obviously other end of the cortisol spectrum. But we had maybe right around 200 patients, several dozen caregivers, some kids, and providers and an industry in attendance in Portland, Oregon. And it went really well. I think the takeaway, God, what would a takeaway be? There's so many of them. It went so well. We had some of the best doctors there who were very eager to come participate. They changed the way that they presented to be patient friendly. We recorded the majority of the sessions, so we now have this amazing resource going forward. But really, watching all the patients meeting each other, coming together during the social hours, writing each other's phone numbers and emails down, taking pictures together, and just seeing all of that afterwards on social media, people connecting and talking about like how they don't feel alone anymore. This was the first time they've met somebody that had it. They were around people that just got it. I mean, that is, I feel like that's the whole point, is to just to get to that point where there's very few patients that don't ever get that experience, I don't know, just like the patient support. The biochemical is important, of course. We need to get the cortisol under control. We need to find the source. We need to treat it. But all the other stuff, I think, is really what defines this disease, maybe even more than the fact that it comes from a tumor that causes cortisol. Too high cortisol is all the other things it does to cardiovascular, to our mental state, to our executive function, to how we communicate and interact with our loved ones, how they see us, how they interact with us, what changes, what disappears, what grows, I just think that the peer connection for those elements of it, which is how we live our life, we have the time that we spent in the clinic, the time we spent in the operating room, but the rest of the time is our life, how we live our life. Even right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm affected by Cushing's. I've made so many false starts to this video because I just want to get it right. I just want the message to come across right for you, because you guys have such a great opportunity when you go and talk to these providers about your product. You also have that time to educate them, and a lot of times you're talking to someone maybe who has never met a Cushing's patient, or maybe they've only met one or two, or they're just now getting involved in that. And in addition to talking about how to control the cortisol, you have this opportunity to talk to them about all the ways that it affects our lives, during and after, maybe before. But we hope to support you with significant patient-created data. We are starting a patient registry this year, so once we have those validated enrollments, that'll be even better. We're creating it now, but it's not quite as official because we don't have the verified enrollments. But you're still sharing our information and you're still reading it. I sometimes think that you guys are more interested in that than some of our providers are, but you're listening, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much. But we hope to continue to do that and give you better stuff, and to support you with what you're talking to these providers about in the first place. But I'd be remiss not to talk about the medication. we're very, very proud of you for going through the process and getting to FDA approval. I think there's about, what, 4 or 5 that have been able to do that over the last 10 years. And while it might be competition, whatever, at the same time, you have all created something for us that we need to have as an option, and we need more than just one. You know, there's over 7,000 rare diseases. A lot of them don't have any medical treatments. So in a way, we're super lucky in that department that we have more than one. Um, you're also a member of our corporate council. That was something that was created to further support our current and future endeavors that are going to expand what CSRF does. I know the patient registry is probably the biggest and easiest example of that. We just need teams of amazing people. Our industry partners, you have resources, you have large teams of people that go out and talk to patients, like mentioned previously. We have our medical advisory board made up of some of the best doctors available. They support in their ways. The just drawing a blank. That happens sometimes. I'm sorry about that. I don't know. I guess really what I'm trying to just say is just that it's important for patients to understand that there's a lot of options. A lot of patients think that there aren't options. I don't know how many people I've talked to that didn't even realize there were any medications. So it's definitely a goal of CSRF. There's no personal preference over any one. There's more than one way to do surgery. There's more than one med. There's more than one way to do surgery. Doctors all have their own personalities. One might not be the best fit for a patient. One might be. So the idea of laying all the options on the table, good, bad, ugly, so people know what they have to choose from, because what's right for me might not be right for another patient. So we definitely appreciate your role in creating, another option. And I don't know, I guess the biggest thing I would just say to you, if I could leave you with a good takeaway, is just, think about that time that you have in that doctor office when you're going to talk about your product. It's gold. You have the opportunity to give them, possibly even better than us, because you're there, you have their attention, to kind of give them a little bit of our story and the things that happen to us and the things that we struggle with long after supposed, biochemical remission. We're still struggling. We need mental health support. We need physical therapy support. Everybody's a little bit different, but these commonalities are, the brain fog and the pain and just the inability to just get back into life. And it's important for doctors, to understand it's not just a matter of just resolving the cortisol and sending them on their way, that there's a lot more to it. If they could be more aware of this. And I think that you guys can play a big role in that. So happy Cushing's Awareness Day. Thank you so much for being our partner, and please reach out anytime, any of you, if you have any questions. I would love to support you with an answer. Thank you for watching this video from gorgeous Costa Rica.